Greetings and welcome to Scriptures Unlocked. This presentation is entitled The Truth About Ruth, and I'll prove from the scriptures, along with maps, to show that Ruth was indeed an Israelite and not a Moabite. It is commonly believed that Ruth was a Moabite by blood, because the scripture calls her a Moabitess on 5 different occasions, as can be seen below. In Ruth chapter 1, verse 22, Ruth 2, verse 2, Ruth 2, verse 21, Ruth 4, verse 5, and Ruth 4, verse 10. Ruth is repeatedly called Ruth the Moabitess. However, that is not the case, as will be proven from the scripture and this presentation. Ruth could not have been a Moabite by blood and be accepted in Israel. Both the Ammonites and the Moabites were offspring of incest, and God made it absolutely clear in Deuteronomy 23 that they shall not enter into the congregation of Israel. Deuteronomy 23 verse 2 tells us this: a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Jehovah. Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of Jehovah. The word bastard is the Hebrew word mamzer, which occurs only twice in the scriptures. It means a bastard, a child of incest, an illegitimate child, a child of a mixed population, born of a Jewish father and a heathen mother, or vice versa. It comes from an unused root meaning to alienate, a mongrel. Deuteronomy 23 verse 3 goes on to say, an Ammonite or Moabite shall not, and I repeat, shall not enter into the congregation of Jehovah. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Jehovah. For how long? Forever. Before proving that Ruth was indeed an Israelite, it is important to identify which nations occupied the lands east of Canaan. This presentation will be part 1 of 2, proving that Ruth was indeed an Israelite. But we need to get the biblical history of the nations that occupied the lands east of Canaan to prove that she was indeed an Israelite. So these lands were occupied by 4 nations: the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and the Edomites. Who were the Amorites? The Amorites were descendants of Canaan, Ham's son. And this is found in Genesis 10, verse 6, which says, and the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. Verse 15 tells us this: and Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite. They were a large and powerful nation who controlled much of the land of Canaan, as well as east of Jordan. However, God had promised Abraham and his seed this land, which we will now read about in Genesis 15, verses 18 to 21. This is God's covenant with Abraham and his seed. In the same day, Jehovah made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites, and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. So these nations God was going to dispossess and give Abraham and his seed the land of Canaan. Who were the Ammonites and Moabites? The Ammonites and Moabites were descendants of Lot as a result of the incestuous act committed by his 2 daughters in Genesis 19, verse 30 to 38. Let's read about it. And Lot went up out of Zoar, and this is immediately after Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed, and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. So that was the plan. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ammi. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So the Moabites and the Ammonites were products or offspring of incest that was perpetrated by Lot's daughters. Who were the Edomites? The Edomites were descendants of Esau, who was the twin brother of Jacob, son of Isaac and Rebekah. And here's the proof text that tells us this. Genesis 36 verse 1 says this. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. So Esau was also called Edom. Verse 8 tells us this. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And verse 43 of Genesis 36 tells us this. Esau is the father of the Edomites. So Esau is the ancestor of the Edomites. Here is a map of the 4 nations and their locations east of Jordan. So you can see Edom in the south, Moab, the Amorites, and the Ammonites. And this was the land of Canaan on the west of the Jordan River, which is this river. So in order to better understand Ruth's lineage and where she came from, it is important to know the biblical history of these 4 nations before the time of Ruth. This history has been documented for us in the following books of the Bible. 4 books: Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, and Judges. These 4 books will help us understand and will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ruth was an Israelite and not a Moabite by blood. Prior to Israel's exodus from Egypt, the land above the Arnon River was occupied by the Moabites, including the area known as the Plains of Moab. The Arnon River will feature prominently in what we'll be discussing in this presentation. However, the Amorites fought against the former king of Moab and took possession of the Moabite territory from Gilead in the north to the Arnon River in the south. So the entire area from Gilead to the Arnon River was once occupied by the Moabites, but the Amorites fought against the former king of Moab and took possession of half his territory. So notice what we are told in Numbers 21, reading from verse 6. Everything will be proven from the scriptures. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnon. So therefore, before the Amorites occupied the land east of Jordan, the land originally belonged to the Moabites. Here is a map depicting same. So from the Jabbok River to the Zered River was the entire area that was occupied and owned by the Moabites. So this section was occupied and owned by the Moabites. It was Moabite territory originally. But when the king of the Amorites fought against the Moabites lost half of their land, with the Arnon River effectively forming a natural border between the Amorites and the Moabites. And here you can see the Amorites took control of the upper section of the Moabite territory from the Jabbok River to the Arnon River. And the Arnon River now formed a boundary between the Amorites and the Moabites. So therefore, the Amorites now occupied and controlled the area called the Plains of Moab, because it was once a part of Moab's territory. So here you can see the former territory of the Moabites with the Plains of Moab in the upper section east of Jericho. So the Plains of Moab was east of Jericho. Here's Jericho on the left in the land of Canaan. So the Moabites controlled all of this area initially with the Plains of Moab. However, when the Amorites defeated them, the Amorites took full control of this section with the Plains of Moab. And here's a map showing how the land was occupied. Edomites, the Moabites, the Amorites, after they took control of a part of the Moabite territory, Ammon, Bashan, and Canaan, west of the Jordan River. So at the time of the Exodus, the Arnon River was the northern border between the Moabites and the Amorites. This we know from Numbers 21, reading from verse 13. For Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. And here we can see another picture. The orange section is now controlled by the Amorites. The Arnon River, this river, became the border between the Amorites and the Moabites. So you can see that the Amorites took half of the Moabites' territory. So the Amorites controlled this upper section, with the Moabites dwelling south of the Arnon River. So the Moabites were down here, the Amorites were above, and they took control of this section of Moab, which is still called the land of Moab. So this entire section was still called the land of Moab. That is why this section is called the plains of Moab, because it was once Moabite territory. Edom dwelt south of the Moabites, with the Zered River also forming a natural boundary between the Moabite and the Edomite territories. So here you can see the Edomites dwelling south of Moab, with the Zered River forming this natural boundary or border between the Moabites and the Edomites. So when Israel left Egypt, they possessed no lands because they were slaves coming out of captivity, but were on their way through the wilderness to inherit the land of Canaan. God said this to Abraham in Genesis 17, reading from verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. So as the children of Israel journeyed to the promised land, Moses sent messengers to the king of Edom, requesting permission to pass through his borders. Israel's entire wilderness journey is chronicled in Numbers 33, reading from verse 1 to 37 and verses 40 to 56. However, let's read about Edom's refusal in Numbers 20, verses 14 to 21. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that has befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto Jehovah, he heard our voice and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway, and we will not turn to the right hand nor to the left, until we have passed thy borders. And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. And the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border. Wherefore Israel turned away from him. The children of Israel were commanded by God not to contend with the Edomites, the Moabites, and the Ammonites in battle. Concerning the Edomites, God said this, meddle not with them, for I will not give you of their land, no, not so much as a footbreadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession. God also said, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. Concerning the Ammonites, God said, distress them not, nor meddle with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for a possession. Let's read about this in Deuteronomy 2, verse 1 to 9, and verses 13 to 19 to get the full context. Notice what we read. Moses is recounting what happened. Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as Jehovah spake unto me, and we compassed Mount Seir many days. And Jehovah spake unto me, saying, ye have compassed this mountain long enough. Turn you northward, and command all the people, saying, ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore. Meddle not with them, for I will not give you of their land, no, not so much as a footbreadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession. He shall buy meat of them for money, that he may eat, and he shall also buy water of them for money, that he may drink. For Jehovah thy God hath blessed thee in all the works of thy hand. He knoweth thy walking through this great wilderness, these 40 years. Jehovah thy God hath been with thee, thou hast lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath and from Ezion-Gaber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And Jehovah said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. Now rise up, said I, and get you over the brook Zered. And we went over the brook Zered. And the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we were come over the brook Zered was 30 and 80 years. Because God had said that because of the 10 spies that brought an evil report against the land of Canaan, God said that they will spend 40 years in the wilderness until he has destroyed all those men. So God said, and the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we were come over the brook Zered was 30 and 80 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted from among the host, as Jehovah sware unto them. For indeed, the hand of Jehovah was against them to destroy them from among the host, until they were consumed. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, that Jehovah spake unto me, saying, thou art to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day. And when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for a possession. So God strictly commanded Israel not to meddle with the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Edomites. Moses requested to pass along the King's Highway, which is an ancient thoroughfare that connects Syria and the Sinai Peninsula by way of the Transjordan region. These maps that I will show now will show the King's Highway and the route the children of Israel wanted to take when they came out of Egypt. So here you can see the white dotted lines is the route that Israel was taking here under Edom. And they wanted to pass through Edom, through the borders of Edom, go on the King's Highway, cross the Zered River, go up through the Moabite territory, cross the river Arnon, and make their way up until they could cross over into Canaan. So this white dotted line is showing the King's Highway and the route that Israel wanted to take. So the King's Highway led you all the way up through the Moabite territory, through the Amorite territory, and it eventually can take you all the way to Damascus in Syria. But the children of Israel wanted to go across this section into Canaan. However, they were denied access by Edom. So the only option available to the children of Israel was to go around Edom and Moab. And this map shows us the route that they eventually took. They went around Edom, past Moab, and then they came to Jahaz, this section. And they wanted to then go into the Amorite territory and continue on the way along the King's Highway. So this is what they wanted to do. So they were here at Jahaz. They wanted to get back onto the King's Highway, go through Amorite territory, cross the Jabbok River, and then make a left. Then cross the Jordan River, and then into Canaan, which is their destination. So this is where they wanted to end up, in the land of Canaan, and this is the route that they wanted to take. However, at Jahaz, Moses sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, requesting permission to use the King's Highway and pass through his borders, but he too refused. Notice what we read in Numbers 21, verse 21 to 25. The scriptures tell us that Israel killed Sihon, took control of his land, and dwelt in all the cities and villages of the Amorites. Notice what we read. Numbers 21, verse 21 onwards. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well, but we will go along by the King's Highway, which I just showed you, until we be past thy borders. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass. through his border. But Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel into the wilderness. And he came to Jahaz, where Israel was, and fought against Israel. And Israel smote him, that Sihon, with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from Arnon unto Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all the villages thereof. So the scriptures state that Israel smote Sihon with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from Arnon unto Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon. So notice now, this territory, which was once the Amorite territory, Israel now controls. So this was now Israelite territory. Israel controlled from the Jabbok River to the Arnon River. This was once Moabite territory. The entire area was once Moabite territory. The Amorites took control of it, and Israel now defeated Sihon, the king of the Amorites, and took control of all his lands. Notice verse 31 of Numbers 21. Thus Israel lived in the land of the Amorites. Therefore, Sihon's land became new Israelite territory. And from there, Moses sent spies to Jahazer, and they took the villages thereof and drove out the Amorites that were there. Let's also read how Moses chronicled the Israelites' battle against Sihon, king of the Amorites, in Deuteronomy 2, verse 24 to 37. This passage gives us added information, which is very critical to what we'll be discussing as we prove that Ruth was indeed an Israelite and not a Moabite by blood. Notice Deuteronomy 2, verse 24. Rise ye up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I have given into thine hand Sihon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it, and contend with him in battle. This was God speaking to Moses. This day will I begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of thee, and shall tremble, and be in anguish because of thee. And this was fulfilled when they made it across the Jordan River and took Canaan and took Jericho, because Rahab said that she had heard what Israel did to both Amorite kings. Deuteronomy 2:26 says, and Moses continued, and I sent messengers out of the wilderness of Kedemoth unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, with words of peace. Moses came in peace, saying, let me pass through thy land. I will go along by the highway. I will neither turn unto the right hand nor to the left. Thou shalt sell me meat for money, that I may eat, and give me water for money, that I may drink. Only I will pass through on my feet, as the children of Esau which dwell in Seir, and the Moabites which dwell in Ar did unto me, until I shall pass over Jordan into the land which Jehovah our God giveth us. But Sihon, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass by him. For Jehovah thy God hardened his spirit, and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into thy hand, as appeareth this day. And Jehovah said unto me, behold, I have begun to give Sihon and his land before thee. Begin to possess, that thou mayest inherit his land. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Jahaz. And Jehovah our God delivered him before us. And we smote him, notice, we smote him and his sons and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time, and utterly destroyed, notice, the men and the women and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. Only the cattle we took for a prey unto ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we took. From Ahoer, which is by the brink of the river of Arnon, and from the city that is by the river, even unto Gilead. There was not one city too strong for us. Jehovah our God delivered all unto us. Only unto the land of Ammon thou camest not, nor unto any place of the river Jabbok, nor unto the cities in the mountains, nor unto whatsoever Jehovah our God forbade us. So notice, Moses said we smote him and his sons and all his people, and we took all his cities at that time, and utterly destroyed the men and the women and the little ones of every city. We left none to remain. This is very important, because no Amorite was now living in the territory that Israel just conquered. They destroyed every single living person. Therefore, only Israelites were living in the Amorite territory above the Arnon River, because they utterly destroyed all that was in the land. After defeating Sihon and the Amorites, Moses turned Israel's attention up north to take on Og, king of Bashan, which can be found in Numbers 21, verses 33 to 35. Notice what we read. And they turned and went up by the way of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to the battle at Edrei. And Jehovah said unto Moses, fear him not, for I have delivered him into thy hand, and all his people, and his land, and thou shalt do to him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So they smote him and his sons and all his people, until there was none left him alive, and they possessed his land. So here on this map, you can see after conquering Sihon and the Amorites, the Israelites crossed the Jabbok River and went to Edrei. And there they had this battle with Og, the king of Bashan. The Israelites were clearing the land of all Amorites. And Numbers 21 verse 35 says, they smote him, that is Og, and his sons, and all his people, until there was none left him alive, and they possessed his land. So Deuteronomy 3 verse 1 to 10 also recounts that Israel dispossessed Og and took control of all his cities by utterly destroying men, women, and children of every city. This too is also important. Notice what we read. Added information is given. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And Jehovah said unto me, fear him not, for I will deliver him and all his people and his land into thy hand, and thou shalt do unto him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So Jehovah our God delivered into our hands Og also, the king of Bashan, and all his people, and we smote him until none was left to him remaining. And notice what happened. And we took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we took not from them. 60 cities, that's 60 cities in total. All the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls, gates, and bars, beside unwalled towns, a great many. And we utterly destroyed them, as we did unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children of every city. But all the cattle and the spoil of the cities we took for a prey to ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the two kings of the Amorites, that's Og and Sihon, the land that was on this side Jordan, from the river of Arnon unto Mount Hermon, which Hermon the Sidonians called Sirion, and the Amorites called it Shenir. All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, unto Salcah and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. So here you can see on this map, this upper section was the kingdom of Og, from Mount Hermon to the Jabbok River. Israel now controlled this section after defeating Og, king of Bashan, and they already conquered this section after defeating Sihon, king of the Amorites. So this section from Mount Hermon all the way down to the Arnon River was now Israelite territory. There were no Amorites or Moabites living in the land, because we just read that the Israelites utterly destroyed men, women, and children of every city. And the Bible stressed that they left none alive. So it was only Israelites that were living in this area after the conquest. So notice that Israel now controlled all the territory from Mount Hermon in the north to the Arnon River in the south. And the map shows us Israelite territory, the land of the Moabites, the Edomites and the Ammonites, and the land of Canaan, which they were now going to possess. They were on their way to the land of Canaan, because that was the promised land. So this territory was occupied solely, I repeat, solely by the Israelites after their conquest, which means that there were no Amorites or Moabites living above the Arnon River. Numbers 22 verse 1 states that the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on this side Jordan by Jericho. Viewers, the plains of Moab is located in the area that Israel took and occupied when they defeated Sihon and the Amorites, and it's opposite to Jericho. It was once Moabite territory before it fell into the hands of the Amorites. Hence, it was called the Plains of Moab. Here you can see the map before the Amorites took control of the Plains of Moab. It was entirely Moabite territory. The plains of Moab was in the land of Moab. After the Amorites conquered and took half the Moabite territory, the plains of Moab was now under the Amorites' control. When Israel defeated Sihon and the Amorites, Israelites now took control of this section, and this is where they pitched, in the plains of Moab across from Jordan, near Jericho. Here's Jericho, west of the Jordan River. The plains of Moab is on the east of Jordan. So this was now Israelite territory. The Moabites lived south of the Arnon River. So the plains of Moab was prime real estate, owing to the fact that it is close to three rivers, the Jabbok, Jordan, and the Arnon. And here you can see the Jabbok River, this river, the Jordan River, and the Arnon River. So this area, the plains of Moab, was well watered. It was fertile area, and Israel was now occupying this territory. Viewers, there's a distinction that must be made between the plains of Moab and the land of Moab, because there's a difference. The plains of Moab is called the land of Moab, but the land of Moab is also the territory that the Moabites, descendants of Lot's children, occupied and lived. So the plains of Moab is in the land of Moab, but it is in the section that Israelite now control. The original Moabite territory was from the Jabbok River to the Zered River, which included the plains of Moab in the upper section north of the Arnon River. This area was known as the land of Moab, since it was originally Moabite territory and was still referred to as such during the time of Moses. So this is where Israel pitched. Israel pitched and set up camp in the plains of Moab, which is in the section with places like Dibon, Shittim, Pisgah, and Mount Nebo, but it was still called the land of Moab. Here are the biblical references that tells us that the land of Moab is talking about the plains of Moab. Notice what God said to Moses when he was about to die. God said this to Moses in Deuteronomy 32, verse 49 and 50. Get thee up into the mountain, into this mountain Abarim, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho. And behold, the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel for a possession, and die in the mount whither thou goest up, and be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered unto his people. And then notice Deuteronomy 34, verse 5 and 8. So Moses, the servant of Jehovah, died there in the land of Moab. So Moses died in the land of Moab. And notice where the children of Israel wept for him. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab. 30 days, so the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. So the land of Moab is synonymous with the plains of Moab, because the plains of Moab is located in the land of Moab, which was once Moabite territory, hence the name Plains of Moab. The plains of Moab is located in the country of Moab, and this will become clear as we proceed further in the presentation. The plains of Moab is located in the country of Moab, which is the rural area of the land of Moab, and it's always linked with Jericho as a reference point. I did a search for the exact phrase, plains of Moab, and it revealed that it's always associated with Jericho on the east side of Jordan. Here's the search that I did. I did a search for the plains of Moab, and it returned 10 results, and on all 10 occasions, it is always linked with Jordan and Jericho. So notice these verses on screen. Numbers 22 says that the Israelites pitched in the plains of Moab on this side Jordan by Jericho. Jericho is also highlighted because every time the plains of Moab is mentioned, it is always linked with Jericho. Here again, you can see the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. The plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. The plains of Moab, which are by Jordan near Jericho. The plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. So there you can see it is always linked with Jericho. So you can easily identify where the plains of Moab is located. Here are the other references to the plains of Moab near Jericho by Jordan. Scriptures are clear as to where the plains of Moab is located. Therefore, viewers, the plains of Moab, which was occupied by the Israelites, can only be found one place on any map, and that is by Jordan near Jericho on the east. Now notice Numbers 22. Balac sends for Balaam. This is where Balaam entered the picture. Numbers 22 verses 1 onwards. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on this side Jordan by Jericho. And by now you should know where the plains of Moab is located. And Balac, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, so he was now afraid. And Moab was so afraid of the people because there were many. And Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, now shall this company lick up all that are round about us, as the ox licketh up the grass of the field. And Balac, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at that time. He sent messengers therefore unto Balaam, the son of Beor, to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth. And notice this, and they abide over against us, because the Israelites were now occupying the territory north of the Arnon River, while the Moabites dwelt south of the Arnon River in the land of Moab. Here you can see on the map, the Israelites were north of the Arnon River, the Moabites were below. So Balac, the king of Moab, was concerned. He knew and heard about what the Israelites had done to Sihon, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan. And he was worried that the Israelites were now going to cross the Arnon River and take control of their territory. But little did he know that God had strictly forbidden Israelites from contending with the Moabites, the Edomites, and the Ammonites, these three nations. But they were not to know that. Let's now read the biblical narrative of how the land east of the Jordan River was allocated in Numbers 32, verses 1 to 5, verse 19, and verse 33. Reuben and Gad settled in Gilead. Now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of cattle. And when they saw the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead, that behold, the place was a place for cattle, the children of Gad and the children of Reuben came and spake unto Moses and to Eleazar the priest, and unto the princes of the congregation, saying, Ataroth and Dibon and Jazer and Nimrah and Heshbon and Eleale and Shebam and Nebo and Beon, even the country which Jehovah smote before the congregation of Israel, is a land for cattle, and thy servants have cattle. Wherefore, said they, if we have found grace in thy sight, let this land be given unto thy servants for possession, and bring us not over Jordan. For we will not inherit with them on yonder side Jordan, or forward, because our inheritance is fallen to us on this side Jordan, eastward. So they were speaking specifically about the lands east of Jordan. And Moses gave unto them even the children of Gad and the children of Reuben and to half the tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the land with the cities thereof in the coast, even the cities of the country round about. Therefore, viewers, the children of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh were given the land east of Jordan as their inheritance. And this is confirmed in Deuteronomy chapter 3, verses 12 to 13 and verses 16 to 20. Notice what we read. And this land, which we possessed at that time from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, and half Mount Gilead, and the cities thereof, gave I unto the Reubenites and to the Gadites. And the rest of Gilead and all Bashan, being the kingdom of Og, gave I unto the half tribe of Manasseh. All the region of Argob, all Bashan, which was called the land of giants. And unto the Reubenites and unto the Gadites I gave from Gilead even unto the river Arnon, half the valley and the border even unto the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon. The plain also, and Jordan, and the coast thereof, from Kinnereth. Kinnereth is another name for the Sea of Galilee, even unto the Sea of the Plain, even the Salt Sea, which is another name for the Dead Sea, under Ashdod Pisgah, eastward. And I commanded you at that time, saying, Jehovah your God hath given you this land to possess it. Ye shall pass over armed before your brethren, the children of Israel, all that are meet for the war. But your wives and your little ones and your cattle, for I know that you have much cattle, shall abide in your cities which I have given you, until Jehovah have given rest unto your brethren, as well as unto you, and until they also possess the land which Jehovah your God had given them beyond Jordan. And then shall he return every man unto his possession, which I have given you. So here you can see on this map how the land was allocated to the 2.5 tribes. Reuben got this section, which is where the plains of Moab is located. Gad got half of the Amorite territory and half of Og's territory, with the cities Gilead and Jazer. So the Jabbok River was running through Gad's territory, and the half tribe of Manasseh got from Mount Hermon to Edrei. So this is how the land was divided among the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh. Therefore, viewers, the children of Reuben were assigned the land situated in the plains of Moab. So now we know that Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh inherited the lands east of Jordan. Let us see how the land of Canaan was distributed among the other 9.5 tribes. Canaan divided among the tribes. Joshua 13 verse 1 onwards tell us this. Now Joshua was old and stricken in years, and Jehovah said unto him, Thou art old and stricken in years, and there remaineth yet very much land to be possessed. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance unto the 9 tribes and the half tribe of Manasseh. 9.5 plus 2.5 equals 12 tribes of Israel, with whom the Reubenites and the Gadites have received their inheritance, which Moses gave them beyond Jordan, eastward, even as Moses, the servant of Jehovah, gave them. So this map shows us the entire land of Israel and how they were allocated. So we know that half the tribe of Manasseh got this section. They were known as Manasseh East. The Gadites got this section. The Reubenites got this section. But when they went into Canaan, this is how the land was divided. Simeon got this territory, Judah, this territory, Dan, Benjamin, Ephraim, the other half of the tribe of Manasseh got this section, Issachar got this section, Zebulun, this section, Asher, and Naphtali. So this map shows us how the land of Israel, how the promised land was divided among the 12 tribes of Israel. And here you can see Ammon in his territory, Moab below the Arnon River, and Edom below the Zered River. So this is how the land of Canaan was divided and who occupied the lands east of Jordan. So here you can see now God's promise to Abraham was fulfilled that he made to him in Genesis 15, verses 18 to 21. Notice what we read in Joshua 21, verse 43 onwards. And Jehovah gave unto Israel all the land which he sware to give unto their fathers, and they possessed it and dwelt therein. And Jehovah gave them rest round about. Notice, Jehovah gave them rest round about, according to all that he sware unto their fathers. And there stood not a man of all their enemies before them. Jehovah delivered all their enemies into their hand. There failed not aught of any good thing which Jehovah had spoken unto the house of Israel. All came to pass. Therefore, viewers, Israel was now firmly established in the promised land of their inheritance, with absolutely no biblical evidence that any of their territory was lost to the surrounding nations during this time. So with this detailed history in mind, let's fast forward to the book of Judges, where Jephthah had to refute the false claims of the king of Ammon, who tried to lay claim to Israelite territory. Notice what we read in Judges 11, verse 4. And it came to pass in process of time, so some time has passed, and you will see how much time had passed when this incident took place. And it came to pass in process of time that the children of Ammon made war against Israel. Notice the children of Ammon. And Jephthah sent messengers unto the king of the children of Ammon, saying, What hast thou to do with me, that thou art come against me to fight in my land? So Jephthah called the land that Israel occupied his land. And the king of the children of Ammon answered unto the messengers of Jephthah, saying, notice what he said, because Israel took away my land when they came up out of Egypt, from Arnon even unto Jabbok and unto Jordan. Now therefore restore those lands again peaceably. Notice where he said Israel took? From Arnon even unto Jabbok and unto Jordan. And Jephthah sent messengers again unto the king of the children of Ammon, and said unto him, Thus saith Jephthah, Israel took not away the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon. Because remember we read earlier God strictly forbid the children of Israel from meddling with the Ammonites or the Moabites. God said, distress them not, meddle not with them, contend not with them in battle. So Jephthah said, Israel took not away the land of Moab, nor the land of the children of Ammon. But when Israel came up from Egypt and walked through the wilderness unto the Red Sea and came to Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers unto the king of Edom, saying, let me, I pray thee, pass through thy land. But the king of Edom would not hearken thereto. And in like manner they sent unto the king of Moab, but he would not consent. And Israel abode in Kadesh. Then they went along through the wilderness and compassed the land of Edom and the land of Moab. Or in other words, they passed around the land of Edom and the land of Moab, and came by the east side of the land of Moab, and pitched on the other side of Arnon, but came not within the border of Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. And Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, the king of Heshbon. And Israel said unto him, let us pass, we pray thee, through thy land into my place. But Sihon trusted not Israel to pass through his coast. But Sihon gathered all his people together and pitched in Jahaz and fought against Israel. And Jehovah, God of Israel, delivered Sihon and all his people into the hand of Israel, and they smote them. So Israel possessed all the land of the Amorites, the inhabitants of that country. So Jephthah was recounting the history of Israel. And they possessed all the coast of the Amorites, from Arnon even unto Jabbok, and from the wilderness even unto Jordan. So now, Jehovah, God of Israel, hath dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel. And shouldest thou possess it? Will not thou possess that which Chemosh thy God giveth thee to possess? So whomsoever Jehovah our God shall drive out from before us, them will we possess. And now, art thou anything better than Balac, the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel, or did he ever fight against them? While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and their towns, and in Aroer and their towns, and in all the cities that be along by the coast of Arnon. How long? 300 years. Why therefore did ye not recover them within that time? So Jephthah tells us here that Israel was now living in the land for 300 years. Jephthah, he was a Gileadite from the tribe of Gad. And here you can see Gilead circled. So he was saying that the children of Israel took not away the land of the Ammonites. Here you can see the Ammonites' territory. Israel did not go into the Ammonites' territory. What Israel did was to take the Amorites' territory from Jabbok River to the Arnon River. This is what Jephthah was recounting. So notice, the Amorites took away half of the Moabite territory from the Jabbok River to the Arnon River. The Israelites now conquered the Amorites and took away that same piece of property from the Jabbok River to the Arnon River. They did not go into Ammonite territory because God commanded them not to meddle with the Ammonites. Then they took away Og's territory. So this entire section from Mount Hermon to the Arnon River was now Israelite territory. This remained the Ammonite territory. So Israel only took away this section shaded in green, which was now Israelite territory. And we read earlier how this land was divided among the 2.5 tribes. Manasseh got from Mount Hermon to Edrei. Gad got half of Og's territory and half of Sihon's territory, with Gilead, where Jephthah was born. And the Reubenites got this section where the plains of Moab was located. So Jephthah knew his history and retraced Israel's journey around the land of Edom and Moab, as you can see on the map. They came around Edom, past Moab, and came to Jahaz. And this is where they had the battle with Sihon, king of the Amorites. They took control of his territory here, and this territory was given to the Reubenites. They did not come into the Ammonite territory. They then went up and they dispossessed Og, king of Bashan, and killed all the Amorites that were in this territory. So this entire area became Israelites' territory. Manasseh got this piece and Gad got the piece in the middle. So this section is what Jephthah was saying. We did not take away the land of Moab, which is down here, nor the land of Ammon, which is to the east. So Jephthah knew his history. In Judges 11, verse 26, Jephthah gives us a very crucial piece of information as he recounted how Israel came to possess the lands east of Jordan. Jephthah told the Ammonite king that Israel has been in this land for 300 years, and the land they now possessed was taken from the Amorites and not the Ammonites. Jephthah then stated that God dispossessed the Amorites and gave Israel control of the land that originally belonged to the Moabites. Jephthah even referenced Balac, the king of Moab at the time when that incident took place, by stating that it was his people's land originally, but he did not strive or fight with Israel to recover his lost territory. So this historical background is very important because the book of Ruth, which we will look at in the next presentation in part 2, is set in the time of the judges, and Jephthah was a judge in Israel, and the scriptures tell us in Judges 12 verse 7 that Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. So viewers, this is part 1 of 2, but this history was important to show who occupied the area known as the Plains of Moab, which is also known as the country of Moab. So with this in mind, we will look in the next presentation and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ruth was an Israelite and not a Moabite by blood. Thanks for listening and have yourselves a wonderful day.